How much time, effort, and energy do you spend during the day thinking about your back butt or sciatica pain? And is it possible that the fear of piriformis and or sciatica pain is actually greater than the pain itself? Hey everyone, what's up? This is Dr. Charlie Johnson, physical therapist, and in this video I'm going to share with you some practical tips to break this pain fear loop and start to neutralize your thoughts and reactions as it relates to the pain that you're experiencing. As you start to change how you react to the pain, you will see that the pain itself actually starts to die down. But real quick before I do that, if you're interested in determining the most likely source of your pain for free, download my Better Than an MRI DIY diagnostic guide. You can click the link and download it above for free. All right, so let's dive into it. So let's talk about something we call the pain fear loop. So you should understand that pain is an experience of both the brain and the body. And a lot of people just look at it through a lens of trying to fix the structural body, the herniated disc, the degeneration, the spinal stenosis, the arthritis, the tight piriformis muscle, whatever it may be. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. And so we understand that the brain actually creates all pain and is sort of the CEO and allows us to process pain. And so if we agree that the body is the instrument of the mind, meaning without the mind, the body wouldn't know what to do and it wouldn't be able to experience the ability to move or the feelings that it can experience, then we need to consider the role of the brain or the mind on pain. And so what happens is this is the negative feedback loop, the pain fear loop that people get stuck in. Perhaps it starts with an injury or some other reason why you begin to hurt. And what happens is that when you hurt and you move, it sends signals to your brain that movement or activity, whatever that may be that bothers you, is dangerous. And so you become fearful, worried, concerned, and anxious. And the more fearful and worried and concerned you become around certain positions or activities or movement, the less you move. And the less you move, the more fearful you become. The more fearful you become, the less you move. And you can see that over time, this sort of trains you to become very reactive to the pain. It gives pain power over you and your ability to live life if you consider that life is motion. And so how do you know if you're stuck in this pain fear loop and just can't get out? Well, let's start by analyzing or looking at your thoughts. And big picture, ask yourself, are the thoughts and beliefs and feelings that I'm having, do they place me in more of a state of at ease, feeling good, feeling curious, feeling playful, feeling calm, feeling, I guess you could say, positive for lack of better words? Or do they place you in more of a state of dis-ease? So do your thoughts, do your beliefs, and do your feelings around the pain that you're experiencing in your back, butt, or leg, do they place you in more of a state of being at ease or dis-ease? And when I'm referring to thoughts or beliefs or feelings, I'm talking about that little voice in your head. So do you ever say to yourself throughout the day things like, I wonder if this problem is ever going to go away, or when will this pain go away? Or I wonder if I'll ever figure this out, or could this be X, Y, and Z? Maybe you go online, you start Google searching, and you get stuck in fix it, figure it out problem-solving mode, which elevates the state of the nervous system and places you on more high alert. And if pain is a danger signal, not always due to damage, but due to a sensitive nervous system, then it's not just fear that will increase the sensitivity of the system and result in more pain. It could be any type of feeling or thought or belief that places you more in dis-ease. So it might be that you're frustrated or angry about your pain. See, there we go again. I knew that I shouldn't have done that. You start to self-sabotage and beat yourself up. It could be anger. It could be discouragement when you're doing very well and then you have a bad day. It could be fear, it could be anxiety, it could be worry and concern. Again, it could be doubt of, will this go away? How will it go away? When will it go away? Any of those thoughts, feelings, or belief systems about what's going on as it relates to the pain are all danger signals. And again, they put you in a higher state of fight or flight, increase the reaction to the symptoms that you're having. And you might have other thoughts too. So oftentimes, for many people get stuck dealing with chronic back, butt, or sciatic issues that just won't go away. This type of reaction shows up in many other areas of life. So perhaps you're a type A, get her done, do whatever it takes, a good student type of person. high pressure works really well for getting good grades and probably being a good parent. Maybe you do really well in your career, but you might not do very well when it comes to getting out of pain, because it sort of predisposes you to living in a more hypervigilant, high alert state. So, when you walk out the door, are you somebody who checks to see if your house is locked multiple times? Or you ask your partner, your spouse, or someone else, hey, did we lock the door? Did we shut off the oven? Did we unplug the iron? Did we forget this person's birthday or this or that? Oh, I think it might rain later. Did we roll up the windows, or did we shut the windows in the house? And you can see that all these things are questions that are popping up to scan for potential threats within our environment. Our car getting soaked, our house getting broken into, our house getting burnt down. The same thing can happen within the pain itself, right? Scanning for potential threats of, well, what if it's this? What if it's that? When will it go away? What happens if it doesn't go away? Will I ever get back to X, Y, and Z? Quick short story from a hypervigilant person myself. I was in college, and I remember ironing. Yes, I was ironing my shirt. And I went to class. I was in the middle of a class called Food and Philosophy. I was sitting there with Dr. Valgenti, and in the middle of the class, I excused myself because all that I could think about is my dorm room burning down because I wasn't sure if I unplugged the iron. So what I do is I get out of class, I sprint all the way across campus, open my room door, only to find that, yes, the iron was still sitting on my bed on top of the ironing board. There's one of those mini ironing boards, but it was unplugged, and so there was nothing that could have happened. But I played that story in my head. So do you have those stories that pop up? Obviously, some of them are natural, right? Especially if it's surrounding pain. Pain is an unpleasant sensory experience. Nobody really likes it, right? So it's a normal reaction. But does this also pop up in other areas of life? Do you find yourself scanning for threats constantly? The other way this can pop up is in the way that we predict or expect that pain might show up. So maybe you've done something before and then you say, I'm going to pay for it tomorrow. Or maybe you have a trip coming and you're thinking to yourself, this is going to be a terrible trip. This trip is going to be a nightmare. Notice the language, right? Just reinforces this negative narrative that increases the fear and makes the brain and the body feel less safe overall. So that's the first step to really identifying if you're stuck in this pain-fear loop, is just to start to take notice of your thoughts. Are they rooted in dis-ease? Are they rooted in more fear, worry, concern, frustration, anger? Or are they rooted in something that's a bit more at ease and something that puts you in a more playful, relaxed state? Are you optimistic about your recovery? Are you not expecting the worst case scenario? Something to think about. And so then the next natural question becomes, well, Dr. Charlie, yes, I'm stuck in that pain-fear loop. How do I get out of it? And the answer becomes to shift the flashlight or shine the flashlight away from trying to fix your symptoms or prevent your symptoms from coming on, trying to get rid of pain, and focusing on changing your reaction to the pain. Remember, if any of those danger signals, fear, worry, concern, frustration, anxiety, doubt, discouragement, whatever, are present, then the pain is the consequence of that reaction. And so there's a quote that I love. It says, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and you can choose how to react to that. And what most of us do is we have this stimulus, or we experience this pain, and then we immediately react. We immediately start to get flooded with these different thoughts. Again, very natural, but not very productive. And we act because those thoughts and those beliefs and those feelings inform our actions. Well, those actions get us the result that we're hoping for, or in this case, not hoping for, continued and persistent pain. And so it leads us to trying everything because we're in a state of confusion, frustration, and chaos. We act on those emotions versus on any form of data or objective measure of our pain, and we start trying a bunch of random things, thinking the more we do, the better we'll get. And this further, when it doesn't work, fuels the fear, and the fear fuels the pain, and then the pain fuels the fear, and so on and so forth. And before you know it, you're stuck. And so what we want to do is we want to make the action of attempting to neutralize. Change is a word that I try to stay away from because have you ever tried to change something, especially tried to change your brain or the way you respond to a situation? It can seem daunting and overwhelming, and just straight up hard and difficult, right? So to reduce the friction or the resistance there on your end, I'm just going to say neutralize your reaction to the symptoms, stimulus, pain. We can choose to react this way, fight or flight, or in a more calm, relaxed, understanding manner. The goal becomes to change the reaction to symptoms or neutralize the reaction to symptoms, not change the symptoms themselves, which seems totally backwards because most people reach out to me. I work with people all around the world dealing with back, butt, and sciatica pains. It's my exclusive specialty. The number one thing that everybody wants when they work with me is to get rid of their pain. But the interesting thing is that the more you try to get rid of your pain, and you do so from a place of fear, scarcity, lack, I have to get rid of this thing. When I get rid of this pain, that's when I'll feel good. It's actually the opposite usually that is true. Most people find that when they feel good, irregardless of the pain, that is when they get good, meaning that is when the pain dies down. So when they get rid of that danger signal, the reaction, the fear, the worry, the doubt, the concern, all that stuff surrounding the pain experience, this is when the symptoms cease to exist. They start to fade away. And if you think about it, if you've been in pain for longer than 3, and we'll just say maybe 6 months, then that's defined as chronic pain. But what's interesting is that over time, does your body heal more or less? Well, over time, your body actually heals more, right? Naturally, the longer you have a cut, the more it heals to a certain extent. Within 8 to 12 weeks, a broken bone heals. Within 4 to 12 weeks, a strained muscle will heal. But what's interesting is that if you've had pain beyond that time, the entire time you're healing, the more fearful and worried and anxious you're becoming because the longer you are in pain. And so when you cut off these danger signals, the fear, the worry, the anxiety, the concern, the reaction to things, then you cut off the fuel source for the pain that you're experiencing, and it fades away. Now what I want to do is I want to show you 3 practical ways that we really start to neutralize or change the reaction. All right, so I want to give you something to kind of sink your teeth into. Recognize that this is a bit of an iterative process. This isn't something that people always grasp right away. So cut yourself some slack here. Just get the big picture concept of what we're trying to suggest. Okay, so step 1 to resolving this is without a doubt education. Knowing pain, not no pain, no gain, but knowing pain so that you can gain an understanding of what you're experiencing and feel confident and feel a shift in the belief system surrounding the pain that you're experiencing and being able to view it in a totally different way. The old paradigm that most people get stuck in is that they're broken in some way, shape, or form. Think about it, right? X-rays, MRIs, they're pointing out all the things that are wrong with you and often make people worse because it leads people to believe that normal findings, things that almost everybody has on their MRIs, are the cause of your pain. And so, again, we start to attach the meaning of these MRIs and the things that are found on it with why we hurt, belief that we're broken. We also go to chiropractors who tell us we're out of alignment. We go to PTs who tell us our core is weak. We go to massage therapists who tell us that we're tight all over. We go to docs, orthopedic spine specialists, family care providers who tell us that we have a bad back. And before you know it, we are in a state of freak-out mode. We are in a state of fear, frustration, worry, doubt, concern about our future when the pain is going to go away. Oftentimes, many people get stuck in pain, have been given many different diagnoses, and again, before you know it, we get trapped in this pain-fear loop. So knowledge is potential power, and you as the person in pain, I believe, as somebody who's worked with thousands of people dealing with these issues, that you are the best person to resolve your problem because you created your pain experience. Knowingly or unknowingly, don't take that the wrong way, but something about the nervous system started to send off these signals. Something about maybe damage in your body. Maybe it started as an injury, but now you've sort of trained your brain to experience these symptoms long term, and your brain is making a bit of a mistake and your alarm system is sensitized. Something about the brain-body connection has created this experience. So who better than you, the person who's actually experiencing the symptoms and can feel better than anyone else what's actually happening to fix the pain? And this is why I'm so passionate about education and teaching people all around the world like you with these issues how to relieve their pain naturally. And this is what we do inside of our private coaching program, the Glute Relief Accelerator program. By the way, if you're interested in applying to work with us, just click the link below to submit a case review. We work with people all around the world. And so education, knowing pain, is the first step. And so we first start working with folks and helping them identify the actual source of symptoms. About 50% of the people we work with do not, although they've been led to believe, have symptoms that are caused by damage to their structural or physical body. Again, maybe it started as an injury, but now they've actually trained their brain to experience the symptoms. So maybe your symptoms are due to something that you just did, a week ago. You bent over, you picked something up, you fell, you were working out at the gym, you felt a pull or a twinge when you were running or driving or something like that. Maybe you did injure something and all this knowledge still applies. You still get stuck in the pain fear loop. It's probably how you made it here. You're Googling what the heck was going on and how to fix it or figure it out. But again, the other half of people have this trained response, right? And so if you're curious, by the way, outside of this video, I just created a video on the 13 signs that your symptoms, your piriformis or butt and leg pain is actually due to your brain, not your body. Go ahead and check that out. Really, the first step is to start to collect clues and do the detective work necessary to identify, number one, what's actually causing the problem. Obviously, there's confidence and a reduction in the danger signals or the fear around what you're dealing with when you feel confident knowing that someone actually has figured out what's going on, when you know what's happening. There's also confidence in a plan. So we teach people a 4-step pain relief process that has been proven across thousands of people to help teach people how to get out of pain. And then the next thing is that we want to also do the detective work necessary to teach you how to optimize your healing environment mentally and physically. Because the truth is that you can do all the treatment that you want, but if your environment is not conducive to healing, if your body and or your brain is feeling unsafe because of physically habits, routines, things you don't know, which are keeping you from healing, then you're going to not have the best chance of healing naturally. Or if mentally or psychologically you're in a state of fear, worry, concern, you have certain beliefs, you have certain understandings of what pain is or is not and what is causing your pain, then again, that's going to put you into this fight or flight mode, and it's going to keep you trapped in this pain fear loop. And so if we understand that beliefs inform your actions, which inform your results, if you're not getting the results we want, then we need to start by shifting your belief systems and your thoughts around what's happening so you know pain, meaning have a better understanding of what's going on, and you can have faith in understanding what you're dealing with, why it's happening, and exactly what you need to do to resolve it. Education is huge. And it's amazing how quickly understanding and applying these concepts can help you out. For example, we just had a couple people inside our Glute Relief Accelerator program who just started within the last 24, 48 hours talk about how they were able to massively improve their function and reduce their pain and gain a newfound hope for resolving their symptoms after months and or even years of dealing with them. Once you remove the fear and the danger signals associated with the pain that you're experiencing, then you cut off the fuel source and the pain fades. Step 2, we teach you how to untether from your thoughts, from your belief systems, and from the pain itself. So you're not your thoughts. You are not your diagnosis either. And so many people identify with what they've been led to believe is the cause of their pain. They tend to get very quickly emotionally involved with their thoughts, their fears, their worries, and concerns, and it becomes very habitual. And so let me go back to that quote I mentioned earlier. Between stimulus, the pain, and response, you have a choice because there's space that exists there. And instead of feeling pain and running from it or trying to fight it off or use a tennis ball or a stretch or a visit with the chiropractor as a weapon to get rid of your pain, which reinforces the fear of the pain itself, because otherwise if you weren't fearful or frustrated by something, you wouldn't be trying to fend or fight it off. We teach you how to restore somatic safety and go through different visualization exercises that allow you to observe your symptoms from a place of curiosity and playfulness and calmness instead of fight or flight, instead of freak out mode. So stimulus, response, and there's a space there. And so what most people do is when they notice symptoms, they immediately avoid them I just chatted with a woman who said, hey, I'm laying on my left side in bed at night, and when I feel the symptoms, should I roll away from them? And I said, well, are your symptoms tolerable? And she said, yeah. I said, so if your symptoms are tolerable, then you know it's not damaging your body. You're simply rolling away out of fear. And so you're reinforcing every time you notice the symptoms, and they're very minimal, every time you react by running from them, by trying to fight them off or fend them off or reach for a cushion or a pillow to sit on or something like that, you're actually training your brain that that position or that thing, those symptoms, are dangerous. And then they continue to persist well beyond natural healing times, 6 months, 9 months. We've had people we've worked with who have had pain for 40 years. But once you master this concept of untethering and restore safety to the brain and the body, then years of pain can fade away, even if you tried everything. And so the next time you experience symptoms, I challenge you to ask yourself, can I sit with this? Or can I lie with this? Or can I sit with this in the sense of, am I okay to be here and just observe this? For once, instead of going down the path of freak out, fight, or flight, is it possible that I can just observe these symptoms? Just watch them for what they are. Just sit back and enjoy the show. I know this sounds strange, but if you can do that, and if you're able to, just for a moment, sit with those symptoms and recognize and show yourself that you are okay, then you start to reduce your fear. And the less fear, the longer you can sit with the symptoms. And the longer you sit with the symptoms, the less fear you have. And so this is really a practice of showing your brain, not just telling yourself that you're okay, not just blindly buying into this concept. We need the education first, and then we can start to untether or detach from the symptoms you're experiencing. But we just want to remove ourselves. We want to create some space between you and the symptoms. You are not your symptoms and your pain. And so rather than feeling pain and running from them, you can simply just observe them. That creates a gap. And within that gap, again, you're choosing to react in a different way. You're neutralizing your reaction to those symptoms. Can you sit with your symptoms for a moment? Do you have to run from them or not? Can you just sit back and enjoy the show? And if you are not able to observe your symptoms directly, because your symptoms start to increase because you're fueling them with attention and fear, and you're headed to freak-out mode, then simply notice your symptoms briefly and lean into something else that's very neutral. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun on your face. Maybe it's the coolness of the breeze as we move into fall, if you're in a place that has the seasons. Maybe it's your breath. Not many people are afraid of breathing, or are afraid of the leaves falling, or afraid of the warmth of the sun on their face. And so maybe you notice what it's like temperature-wise, moisture-wise. When you're breathing in, does it feel moist? Does it feel dry? Does it feel warm? Does it feel cold? You might be able to tell that I sound a little bit stuffy. So do you feel stuffy? Does it feel like everything's flowing freely? Are you breathing fast? Are you breathing slow? And what is that experience of breathing like? Can you get lost in that? Almost like you would get lost in watching the tide come in and the tide go out if you were sitting on the beach. And so again, the goal here is not to change the pain or prevent it from coming on. We're not trying to wrestle with it. We're trying to throw our hands up, surrender, if you will, and restore safety by just observing it for what it is. And so this is a practice, again, I just gave you a rough example, that allows you to observe it from a place of safety, practice showing yourself that you're safe despite experiencing some of the symptoms. The symptoms should be tolerable, by the way, when you do this. They should not be severe. If they are, absolutely go ahead and avoid things. And it allows you to retrain your reaction at the end of the day. All right. And the third step is that we teach you to use movement as medicine. We don't just view this as a body problem or as a psychological brain problem. Again, the two are connected. And so we want to help you understand the role of the brain on pain, but then also how you can use movement as an adjunct to assist and accelerate your healing. And so movement is medicine. And if you consider that movement is medicine, then it makes sense that we do as much movement as needed, but as little as necessary. We never want to take more medicine than we need to. And so the process that we teach people helps people identify the one motion that they need to do to solve the problem. So you're not overwhelmed and stressed out, and that type A, get her done, do whatever it take personality takes over. So you're not forcing the pain relief process, but you're doing just one motion. So this way you know exactly what's helping and what's not helping. And this motion feels safe, so it doesn't hurt so good and put you into more fear, worry, concern, and freak out mode. And this motion that we settle upon and use as medicine is a safe or yummy motion. It's not a motion that hurts so good. It's a motion that feels authentically safe to your body and your brain. Maybe some symptoms are present when you're doing it, but it feels safe and it's definitely not causing harm. And so we show you exactly how to find this one motion. And we use movement as medicine also in the general sense of showing you how to ease into activities after things have started to calm down and you've reduced the fear. Ease into activities that you were once fearful or avoidant of. It's easy when you're in pain to fall immediately into avoidance mode. And so a lot of people who come to us share a story of, Charlie, I used to be able to do all these things, and then over the months or over the years or over the decades, I can just do less, and I'm doing less, and I'm doing less. And before you know it, you're not able to play with the grandkids, you're not able to, go hiking, you're not able to go biking, you stopped running, and now you're just walking, and that's even becoming a problem. And your quality of life becomes reduced and you box yourself in. But avoidance is not the answer, because again, if we go back to this idea of the pain-fear loop and trying to escape it, the more you avoid something, do you increase the fear of that activity? Do you reinforce the fear of that activity, or do you lessen it? And the truth is that you reinforce it, because you don't avoid something you're not somehow, in some way, shape, or form, fearful of, or worried about, or anxious about, or frustrated with. And so we teach you how to know when it's okay to get back into activities and experience some symptoms. And that's the interesting thing, is that when people experience symptoms, they immediately avoid. Some people just push through things because, again, that personality kicks in. Like, hey, I'm just going to do whatever it takes. I'm just going to ignore this and push through it. That doesn't work either. This sets off the bells and whistles physically and mentally, and potentially inflames the tissue if it's a structural problem. But you have to have some framework for getting back into the things you eventually love. You won't solve the problem by avoiding it because, again, you never get over your fear of it. This is the same idea of if you're, say, afraid of heights. You have to eventually walk up to the cliff. You don't go to Mount Everest day one, right? You walk up to a cliff and you feel some butterflies. And then not only do you tell yourself, but you actually prove to yourself that, hey, I'm okay. I felt the symptoms, the sensations of being nervous and being unsure about this height or this cliff or whatever you're standing on. But I did okay. I'm okay. The more you feel okay, the more you can go to the cliff, right? And so then you go to the next cliff and the next cliff, and things get higher and higher and higher over time. Before you know it, your fear of heights is gone. Same thing could be said for getting over your fear of spiders. The same thing can be said about getting over your fear of doing activities that you love for the concern of or the expectation that when I do them, I'm going to hurt, or I'm worried they're going to make me worse. The only way to get over that is we've got to calm things down, start to escape from the pain-fear loop. But then the ultimate way to escape is not just to rest away the symptoms and get back to stuff. You didn't address the fear. You didn't address the expectation. You didn't address the reaction. And so when you go back to that thing, the pain comes right back because that reaction is wired and linked to that activity. And so we start to gently fold you into and develop a game plan to get you back to things and gradually expose yourself to those things which you're threatened or fearful of, such that you can start to have little wins, safe experiences, and again, prove to your brain and your body that you don't have to be afraid. The less afraid you are, the more you move. The more you move, the better you feel. The less fearful you are, the more you move. And before you know it, you take this negative feedback loop, using positive inputs from the brain, the education, the knowing of pain and what you're dealing with, also using yummy, positive, safe inputs of the body, using movement as medicine. And before you know it, you flip this negative feedback loop to a positive feedback loop, and you start to escape this pain-fear cycle. And so by using both the mind, knowing pain, changing your belief system, understanding what we're talking about here, and your body, using movement in safe ways as medicine, you start to break this negative pain-fear loop, and you flip it to a positive. The less fearful you become, and the more you show up to things which make you fearful, and you don't have adverse reactions, well, the more confident you feel. The more confident you feel, the more you move, the less fearful you are, etc. And before you know it, you're off to the races, and you are getting back to normal. And so hopefully this was helpful, the understanding of this pain fear loop, how people get stuck in it, and some tangible strategies and principles that you can begin applying. Now, obviously, there's more where this came from, right? There's more things that we could absolutely chat about, but hopefully this gives you a starting point, because it's quite possible, if you've had symptoms for more than just 3 to 6 months, that this is less of a pain problem and more of a fear problem, more of a reaction to the symptoms type of problem. And we need to, again, shine the flashlight or shift our perspective and focus from trying to get rid of the pain, fighting with it, wrestling with it, trying to fend it off, prevent it from coming on, being stuck in problem-solving mode, to neutralizing our reaction to it and really reducing the fear so that we escape the pain fear loop and we can start to calm things down mentally and physically. All right, so if this video resonated with you and you recognize that you spend a vast majority of your time, or at least a great deal of it, constantly thinking about what's going on and trying to fix it and figure it out, and you see the value in potentially getting a grip on that and escaping the pain fear loop as quickly as possible, not only as it relates to the pain, but maybe you've noticed throughout this video that it shows up in other areas of life as well via some of the examples that I gave. Again, this is my exclusive specialty. We work with people all around the world dealing with back, butt, and sciatica problems. It's my passion. Click the link below to apply to work with us, set up a time to chat, and then submit a detailed case review. I review all cases personally. If upon reviewing your case, I don't feel confident we can help, I'll just call you and or message you and let you know. If I do feel confident we can help, then we'll talk about what that plan looks like. Click the link below to apply to work with us and schedule your call today. Thanks so much, everyone. Chat soon.